The No Better Than Average podcast is a proud member of the Geek News Central Network. If it's geek, we've got it. Like No Better Than Average? Check out the other great shows on the network. Geek News Central, The Gadget Professor, The New Media Show, Health Tech Weekly, and The Elder Divide. You can find our show and all these other great shows on our website at nobettershow.com or through the network website at geeknewscentral.com.
Hard-hitting, intelligent discussion, painstakingly researched, thought-provoking opinions, and deep insight when you need it most. You'll get none of that here. Broadcasting from a secret location deep within America's heartland, Unapologetically Mediocre Studios presents the No Better Than Average podcast with your hosts Jacob Cazell and Jeff Cheney.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the No Better Than Average podcast. We are coming at you this week. This week is Veterans Day, so just wanted to stop and thank all of those who have served in our military and to make it possible for Jeff and I to do this show. So thank you so much, veterans, my father included. We really appreciate everything that you do. We will probably not be honoring what you do with our goofiness, but just know that we do really appreciate you serving so that we can sit here and talk tech and be goofy. I am Jacob, and with me, as always, is my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Cheney. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Jacob?
I am spectacular. That's I'm just putting it out there. You know, that's up for a jury of my peers to decide. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
Just want to throw this out there. If anybody out there has a question, a comment, a rant, please feel free to give us a call at our call-in line. That number is, as always, 317-643-1212. If you want to support the show, we would love that. You can pop over to our Patreon page, and that is patreon.com/nobettershow. Jeff has got our 80s playlist out there. I have been listening to it quite a bit. It's a great playlist if you like the 80s.
There are two songs that I skip. I'm going to be honest.
Which two?
I skip the Beastie Boys song, not my favorite Beastie Boys song.
You are wrong.
I don't like that particular Beastie Boys song. And I also skip the Cat People, just doesn't do it.
Not really.
No.
I've been working, and I put my headphones in and I put it on, and it's nice background music. I know all the songs. I bop along to it. 2 thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a music challenge right now, and you guys haven't let us know if you want another one. So if you are interested, send us an email, a tweet, give us a call, let us know. We
best of the 30s playlist.
The
Mac the Knife,
the 2030s, maybe like going into the future. I think we should do like hip indie bands, like the Yvette Brothers or something like that.
Yeah,
bands
that'd be
that
pretty cool.
Nobody's ever heard of, and they probably have beards and wear pantses that are 2 sizes too small.
Yeah,
bands like that. Yeah. I don't know. Let us know, guys, if you are interested, because we like music. We'd love to hear from you guys. I got to jump right in with a quick gripe. It's not going to be a quick gripe. This is going to be a long gripe, but it's a gripe. So I finally, like 2 weeks ago, got an iPhone 6S. So
finally.
Yes, hooray!
Excuse me.
It's only been what? How far out am I? Like just a few months.
Let's make sure that we make this perfectly clear. You got the 6S.
I got the 6S,
the girly 6S, the
okay,
feminine 6S.
It is not feminine.
Did your significant other? Did she get the 6 Plus?
No, she got the 6S too.
Really?
She wanted the 6S. Okay, here's the thing. And just to make Jeff a little either more irate or soothe him, I don't know which way this is going to go. I went into the store fully intending to get the 6 Plus. I knew I was going to get the 6 Plus. I'm a man. I'm going to get the big man phone. And after fiddling and playing with it, because apparently, here's the thing. If you go into an AT&T store, there is a lovely person that greets you right at the door who can do not a thing for you.
Yeah,
they can put your name on a list and then tell you that someone will be with you very shortly. And that is just a dirty, dirty lie. No one will be with you shortly at all. Someone will be with you longly. It takes forever. I thought, oh, great, this person's going to be able to help us, and we will be in and out in nary a few minutes. No. So I had plenty of time to stand there and fiddle with the phones, and was convinced I was getting the 6 Plus, and then, I was holding it, and I was trying to use it, and I was putting it in my pocket, and I'm like, man, this is a lot of phone. I don't think my hands can handle this. My pockets can't handle this. And I was talking with a guy there. His name is not Stuart, but I am going to call him Stuart because he looked like a Stuart to me. He could not have been more hipster if he tried. Stuart was a chubby lad, and hey, speaking as a chubby lad, there's no shame there. But I understand that I'm a chubby lad, and I don't wear pants that would have fit me in the 7th grade. Stuart was. He also had on a flannel shirt, which could have come out of my closet in like 1993. He had a crazy facial hair mustache thing going on. You get the idea. Pompaded hair with the pomade and all of that fun stuff in it. He was quite the Apple fanboy. He had his AT&T iPad. He had his own iPad. He had an Apple Watch. And even he said that he had bought and then returned the 6 Plus in favor of the 6S, mostly because it wouldn't fit in his teeny tiny little Barbie pants.
Yeah, but you don't wear teeny tiny Barbie pants.
I just want to make this too much. Clear. It was too much.
No, you're wrong.
That's okay.
That's okay.
All right.
They make different phones in different sizes for that very specific reason of some men aren't men.
That's right. And every other person is wrong who doesn't have a 6S. So here's my gripe. So I love the phone. It's amazing. It's fast. It's insane. 3D touch is a game changer. Like oh my gosh,
amazing.
It's
so great. I love it.
Why is more stuff not 3D touch enabled?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it so much. Now, I will say I still find myself double clicking the home button to bring up the task switcher. I don't 3D touch task switch much. But here's the thing. The fingerprint reader is too dang fast.
Yeah.
It is instantaneous. Yeah. Like if you haven't played with one and you have an older generation iPhone, like go play with one because it is just blazing fast. And
it is if you just make yourself do the power button to wake the phone up. I'm right there with you.
But I don't want to.
I understand you don't want to, but you have to.
You do.
You just have to relearn yourself, because I used to use the button all the time too, and you can't do it. You cannot wake the phone up.
Yeah, you have to use a finger that you have not registered.
Yeah.
It's so fast. And so here's the thing. So like 2 gripes. First of all, if you use your phone as an alarm clock, which is what every God-fearing phone owner should do, nobody should use that old bedside alarm clock anymore. If you push the button and it registers Touch ID, it will turn off your alarm. So the very first day that we got them, we had to be up the next morning for something. I don't remember what, because it was a weekend. But my wife set her alarm on her phone like any normal person does in 2015 and promptly turned off her alarm the next morning because she hit the button like she used to do that would snooze it, and now it doesn't snooze it anymore. It takes you right into your home screen and turns off the alarm. So of course we overslept, and that was bad.
Get the app called Nightstand.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I just haven't played with it. I used the built-in one. But anyway, and then like I said, I have used the quick push to check notifications for, all the way back to the original iPhone or whenever they first started putting notifications on it. And I can't do that anymore. And
so couple suggestions.
I don't want suggestions. Here's what I want. I want a setting that lets me say the first time I push that button, don't unlock.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Are you done?
I am done. Go ahead. Give me your suggestions.
Because here's the thing. That's never going to happen. It's Apple. That's not
know.
how they do things. It's not going to happen.
It's just so sad to me that I can't have that level of customization.
So if we want real tips, I'll give you some real tips, as opposed to you just whining like a girl that
throw it away and buy a Samsung phone.
Well, okay, that's an option. Obviously, Android probably would have a setting that would allow you to change that.
No, it just doesn't work. See, what's funny is while the Apple Touch ID implementation is so fast, you can't fool it. I was in a meeting a week ago with a coworker who has a Samsung, and it has the little swipe fingerprint thing. Yeah, and I sat there and watched him swipe it like 7 times.
But I've heard that the 6P and the 5X, supposedly, those are pretty much on par with the Apples.
Could be. This was a Note something or other.
So couple suggestions for people that want real suggestions as opposed to just whining like a girl. If you use your fingernail
Yeah, that won't register the
won't
fingerprint.
register the fingerprint. Obviously, you could always, have one of your index fingers not be a finger.
Right.
So that you use that, right? Another thing that I have found that works is if you slide your finger. So instead of pushing the button.
But I'm not consistent with that.
Stop it. I'm giving suggestions. You be quiet.
Okay.
If you slide your finger across it as you're unlocking it, that will wake the phone up and not unlock it.
All right. I've just been forcing myself to get more used to using the power button, and I'm like 50-50 now.
I agree, too. In those other things that I mentioned, you're going to have to teach yourself to do it that way. So in my opinion, you might as well just teach yourself to hit the power button instead. But, I'm just trying to give –
I suppose.
I'm trying to give the real world options that are out there, and those are the things you can do.
What about soaking my fingers in a weak acid solution so that it makes it so it takes longer to read my finger? And then I'll start robbing banks.
Yeah, I think that's pretty not a good idea. Man. So I'm going to throw in one of my quick picks because it kind of you do all the big research. Actually, what ends up happening is by the time I go in and look at it, a lot of the ones that I was going to put on there, you've already got on there.
Okay.
So I always put these little quick picks in, but this one kind of has to do with what you're kind of talking about in that Apple just put a patent in for something that I think is a great idea. And they called it panic mode.
Okay.
And basically what the patent says is that with activation by Touch ID, you could basically lock your phone and make it unlockable by Touch ID. The example that they gave would, like, let's say you say your index finger on your right-hand side. If you use that on the Touch ID, it will put your phone into what's called panic mode and will not allow the phone to be unlocked unless you put in the passcode.
Ooh,
now,
okay.
Why this is kind of cool is because of some higher court decisions, police and or the government can require you to unlock your phone using a fingerprint. Fingerprint is something you have, not something you know. So you are not protected by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights.
Which is BS.
Which is BS, but it's hey.
It is what the courts have upheld.
Right?
That's true.
The courts have said. So what Apple has said is, let's create this thing where if you touch your finger, a specific finger to that Touch ID, you're saying, I don't want this phone to unlock unless I type in a password. Typing in passwords, they cannot force you to do. So this is basically a nana boo-boo to the police/government from Apple if they institute it.
Oh, I want that.
Right now, it's just a patent, so that doesn't mean they're going to do it. I hope they do. Seems like something that would be, somewhat quote-unquote easy to do in that I couldn't come close to doing any of that kind of coding, but I'm sure Apple engineers could do that easy, quote-unquote. I'm using air quotes. You can't see it because this is an audio podcast, but it seems like something that they should be able to institute, and I like the idea because I want to be able to say, okay, if I use my left index finger to unlock this phone, make me put in a password, because, honestly, I think that the court's decision on this was BS in the first place. I think that you shouldn't have to, quote unquote, incriminate yourself just because you're using Touch ID, but this is a way around it, and it kind of ties into that super fast Touch ID.
Yeah, the only problem I would have with that is I guarantee you I would forget and I would constantly be locking myself out of my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm with you.
But it's a great idea.
But I still think it's a good idea. I mean, ultimately, I don't need it anyway. I mean, and I don't like that as an excuse in that I don't really have anything on my phone that I care if the police see. But that's not an excuse. I like the fact that they're at least thinking and or looking at options there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The powers that be. So there you go.
No, I agree 100%. And, if they don't implement that, come on, Apple, please give me a couple of more fingerprints. Like 5 is great. But here's the thing. Now that I'm married, I have to give one of my fingerprint slots up to my wife. In case she has to get into my phone and vice versa.
Yeah, then she's going to see all those girlfriend tweets.
Texts. Yes, she is. That's right. I cannot hardly keep all of those girls from texting me.
That's right. Player's going to play, right?
I'm just saying, you can give us 5. Why can't you give us 10?
Yeah, they could.
Really?
Obviously. Yeah.
Charge an extra $50 for the phone and give me 5 more slots.
Shut the hell up about this extra $50. Screw you, dude.
I'm just saying, come on. You could charge a little bit more and give me a couple of extra K.
Or you could just give us the extra.
Yeah, I don't know. I just come on, give me a few extra ones.
Okay.
So this is a real quick one. I don't have it on the show notes, and just talking about the government and how the courts haven't yet caught up. I thought this was interesting, and the reason I think it's interesting is because it just delights me a little bit, because some of the people that I work with are fiercely, how do I say this, frothing conservatives. And this is funny. I had seen a headline over the weekend. Shiite conservatives, that's right. And so lunches and whatnot are always interesting because we do, for the most part, good fun, chide each other on our, political leanings and whatnot. I am solidly in the centrist / libertarian camp. We've got a guy who is, pretty far left. We've got a couple who are pretty far right. And so it makes for interesting conversations. I'm sure people who sit around us in the cafeteria probably
I've been
wonder.
To lunch with these people, and none of them are pretty. I just want to put that
out. I'm sure you're going to catch it for that. But anyway, so I had seen a headline.
There are right. None of them are pretty.
That's
just
right.
Put that out there.
I saw a headline over the weekend that it was predicting Bernie Sanders to win the election. And so I mentioned it in lunch today, and everybody immediately poo-pooed me. And so I did a little bit of research, and I thought this was fascinating. But apparently the Western Illinois University, there are a couple of doctors, Dr. Rick Hardy and Dr. John Hemingway, and they just conducted their I don't want to say annual, but at least cyclical mock presidential elections. They have been doing this since 1975. And back in 1975, they were PhD students in poli-sci, I believe. And they started this mock election where they actually do caucusing, they do primaries, and then they do a mock election. And it is based on polling of college students and then a bunch of statistical analysis, and then they put out, okay, so here's the result of the caucus, here's the result of the primaries, here are our two candidates from either party, and here is the result of the general election. Okay, no big deal. Lots of people prognosticate and statistically crunch stuff. However, since 1975, they have predicted the outcome of the caucusing, the outcome of the primaries, and the outcome of the presidential election with 100% accuracy.
Okay.
That's a pretty long record.
100%.
100%. But not just they've predicted the president 100% of the time. They've also predicted the primary outcome 100% of the time. They've also predicted the caucus outcome 100% of the time. So they just put out their 2016 race to the White House predictions, and they are calling a Bernie Sanders over Jeb Bush victory by a huge margin. So apparently Bernie Sanders is going to win the primary by a 2-1 margin over Hillary Clinton. And if it holds, Bernie Sanders is going to crush Bush 404 to 114 electoral votes in the national presidential race, as well as win the popular vote by a whopping 49% to 38%. So if that is true, that is going to be a crazy huge upset. Of course, they immediately poo-pooed it. However, part of the article said that in 2007, when they selected Barack Obama as the caucus winner, the primary winner, and the presidential winner, everybody went, Barack who now? And he was 1.5, or not even a 1.5 term. He was like a 1.5 years into his first term junior senator that nobody knew anything about. Right. And everybody laughed. Ha ha ha. These guys have finally gotten it wrong. And sure enough, Barack Obama went on to win his caucuses, to win his primaries, and to win election. So they are calling it for Bernie Sanders.
I
can't imagine that he would win either, right?
I don't even think Jeb Bush is going to win on the Republican side either.
But if not Bush, who? Like, you can't seriously go Carson or Trump.
I think Carson.
Yeah, I don't know. After he shot himself in the foot so much the last few days. But anyway,
I still think him.
I mean, we're not a political podcast, but I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah,
that these guys who use their statistical modeling and all of their fancy PhD learnings are calling it for Bernie Sanders, and they have so far, in the last 40 years, have never been wrong. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
So, work coworkers, sorry, but you're just going to have to get used to President Bernie Sanders. I know you're looking forward to it. And here's the thing. If Bernie Sanders wins, I demand that any public appearance on TV or whatnot is Larry David as Bernie Sanders, because it is the best thing that Saturday Night Live has done. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me throw in another one of my quick picks.
Another one, Jeff.
Sci-Fi Works. I don't know if you read this.
I have not.
So they have launched a commercial version of their persistent aerial drone, which can stay in the air, wait for it, indefinitely.
Hence the word persistent?
Yeah. There is a microfilament that attaches to the drone. It does limit mobility to only 500 feet.
When you say 500 feet, you mean like 500 vertical feet or 500 feet from a
500
base
feet
point?
From the base point.
Okay.
So that could be 300 feet up and 250 feet over. Yeah, I'm math is hard, but 3, 4, 5 triangles, right? Anyway,
something like that.
400 feet up, 300 feet over.
Sure, I'll give you that. That's 500 feet as the crow flies, or as the drone hovers.
Anywho, it will stay up indefinitely. The microfilament charges the drone as well as transfers data.
So when you say microfilament, is this like actually streaming all the way back to the ground station? So it's like a physical tiny little wire in the air?
It is a physical tiny little wire in the air. It is smaller than like headphone wire.
Wow.
Okay. And it transfers data and charging capabilities and power. Yeah.
Seems like you'd be just chopping birds in half.
Well, interestingly, like the big things that they're saying that they would use this for commercially is to be able to have waypoints for long distance communication.
Okay. Like as a relay or something like that?
Yeah, like as a relay.
Cool.
And they're using it now in military operations for reconnaissance because they can basically just like put a drone up in the air forever. And
yeah. You know, now, are we talking like a multi-rotor, or are we talking like more of a traditional plane style?
Multi-rotor.
It just sits there and hovers.
It just sits there and hovers and videotapes you.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's really
we talked
interesting
about drones, and obviously one of the limitations that we were talking about is you can fly it for 6 minutes, or you can fly it for 15 minutes, or if you have a little headphone wire, you can fly it forever. Either way,
that's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about one of the other things that I saw that prisons are starting to use these.
Oh, sure. Like out in the yard to watch over the perimeters and things like that.
So
that's interesting.
Kind of interesting.
So kind of compounding on that. So there is a news story that came out just this last week, which I thought was interesting. And apparently we're just going to become the Droney McDrone podcast.
That's fine.
But DJI, which is the company that makes the Inspire One, the Phantom, as well as some other even higher end flying platforms for like really high end camera stuff, they have bought a minority stake in Hasselblad. Hasselblad, if for those of you who are not photographer type people out there, they are known for their, high resolution medium format cameras. It's going to give DJI a seat on Hasselblad's board of directors. I guess both companies are going to continue to market and maintain their own product lines. But DJI is expecting to lean on Hasselblad's 70 some odd years of camera making experience going forward. The companies released a mutual press release last week saying, quote, "We are looking forward to sharing technical expertise and paving the way for future innovations." That was from Perry Oosting, Hasselblad's CEO, and Frank Wang, CEO of DJI, says pretty much the same thing, saying, quote, "With this partnership, we combine our strengths to further push the borders of what's possible in imaging technology." DJI, which I did not know this until recently, they are actually a Chinese company. They have kind of become the leader in consumer and prosumer aerial photography in like just a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every new drone that they release is just like a huge step up in image quality. They have got standard quadcopters, they've got hexacopters and octocopters that you can mount really high end camera gear on.
Well, Hasselblad would fall right into that really high gear.
Yeah, absolutely. So they just released a platform called the Zen Muse, and it is it's not a drone or a quadcopter per se, but it is a camera that can attach to different platforms that they have. So I believe that the Zen Muse will bolt directly onto the Inspire, which is, I want to say the Inspire is going to set you back about $2,500, $3,000, which, yes, that is a lot of money. but it shoots just gorgeous, sexy 4K video. It's a micro Four Thirds camera.
Oh, interesting.
So you can, it has interchangeable lens mounts and whatnot on it.
That's great.
You can also mount it onto their X1000 platform, which is, I can't remember if that's a hexacopter or a quadcopter or an octocopter. But what's really cool about that is, so if you're flying one of their smaller machines and you lose a motor, you're falling out of the sky like a brick. But with their 6 and with their 8 motor platforms, you can lose 1 or 2 motors respectively, and the thing will still keep flying.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You lose some of the automagic features, but you can still take control and bring it back and land it, and hopefully not lose thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of camera and glass equipment.
Right.
But apparently the stuff that they're making still isn't as high-end as, I guess, Hollywood wants to be. So Hasselblad is kind of known for high-end stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of went to the freaking moon on the Apollo missions.
Yeah, pretty much. That's,
and I guess earlier this year, they announced a new aerial camera that can be configured to use a 40, a 50, or a 60 megapixel medium format image sensor. So bolt that to a drone and send it up, and you're going to get some just amazing stuff.
That would be beautifully gorgeous. Yes.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, DJI has just released a new Phantom. It's the Phantom 3. For $650, you can get the standard model.
I want it so bad.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So the standard model will shoot 2.7K video, which is 2704 by 1520 progressive, and it'll shoot in 24 frames a second, 25 frames a second, and 30 frames a second. It'll shoot full HD at 24, 25, and 30 frames a second, and it will shoot 720p HD all the way up to 60 frames a second. And you can go out on YouTube and look at some of the video footage, and it is insane. It also features a follow me mode where it will follow the GPS signal on the remote. And I saw an amazing video where a guy takes off from his cul-de-sac, flies up about 150 feet, gets in his car and drives down the road, and the thing just follows him. And I mean, it looked like something that you'd see in a movie. I mean, it was like right out of the Bourne Supremacy or something like that.
I'm just like imagining, someone, not you or I, obviously, like in a kayak or a canoe on a white river, whitewater river. That would be that'd be really
gorgeous,
awesome, man.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
It
Again,
also
not you or me.
No,
that would be death. That would be what that
and it also features a point of interest mode where if you find something neat, you can have it go do very slow pans that are just absolutely gorgeous. So it's amazing what they're doing. So,
and if you could do that with some doves,
just flying in slow motion,
that 60 frames a second, you could.
So, yeah, I mean, if they team up with Hasselblad and really, start pushing the limit, I assume that anything, that is both flying and Hasselblad is going to be just way out of the realm of, anything but, the extremely serious hobbyist or the rich person.
Since we're becoming the, de facto drone podcast, I think that maybe DJI/Hasselblad should send us some review units.
Yes, they should. Absolutely. I'll be happy if they just send us a sticker. That would be what I'd be shooting for right now. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And so, even talking about imaging, you had one on here that I have still not gone out and looked at, but it sounded amazing when you told me about it.
Okay, so this is like the coolest thing. It's called the Emerge, and it's made by the people that make Litro cameras. And basically, what they did is they took. It looks like the best way I can describe it is. The Lombardi Trophy, but instead of a football on top, like a round
it's a ball of cameras.
It is a ball of cameras. That's exactly.
And for our listeners who don't know, what is a Litro camera?
So a Litro camera, they came out with a. I think they've got the second generation out now.
That sounds right.
So basically, what it is, it's a box-like. It used to be box-like. I think it looks more like a camera now, but it's basically a camera that takes infinite. Focal length when it takes a picture. So it takes a picture, and after the fact, using software, you can decide where you want the focal point to be. So, if you point a picture at your dog, and in the background, 20 feet behind it is a wolf, and 20 feet behind that is a elephant.
I want to be where that is going to happen.
I'm just picking things randomly.
You can change the focus and make one or the other in sharp.
Make one or the other sharp and the other have that bokeh look.
Right.
And it's kind of like the big deal of you just take the picture and then you decide what you want in focus. And it's really cool.
And so they've made a big ball of these cameras.
So they made a ball of these cameras that takes video.
Oh, that's cool.
And it takes 360-degree video that is focusable. Is that a word? Focusable?
It is now. You just made it a word.
To any point in that 360-degree video.
Wow.
Now, they're saying that this is going to be commercial use only, probably, unless you're like extremely wealthy, because they're saying probably close to $300,000.
Let's get one of those to test on the podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. But here's what it will do, guys. It's on a tower-like thing. So you set this sucker down and you hit record, and it will take video. And that video will be 360 degrees. So if you've ever been to Disney, which, you know me, the Disney guy, right? They have the 360 videos. China has one. Canada has one. So this basically will do that. But more importantly, not only will it do that, any place on that will be focusable. And with software, not only can they do that, it also is gathering 3D information because it has infinite to this close focal length.
Wow.
So it can basically generate 3D information 360 degrees. It's basically VR recording.
And it's not fake 3D, I'm assuming.
No. This will be full 100% 3D. It's mind-blowing. I mean, the amount of software that obviously you're not going to plug this into your little Windows desktop to process that, because you're going to be talking about a huge amount of processing. But for people like Disney, as a good example, they're basically going to be able to get 360 degree 3D video off of something that they can just buy.
I can't wait until Vivid Entertainment starts using them, and then I can put my Oculus on and then like look over behind the performers and see like all the board grips and like craft services and stuff like that.
There are some things that you just don't want, and I think this is one of them.
Oh, that's going to happen.
Oh,
it probably already is a thing, but it's going to become more of a thing.
But still, I mean, I just think this is like, I cannot wait to see this in real life. I mean, this is going to be amazing.
Is there any word on when this is going to be a thing that
2016
exists? Oh, so
yeah.
I mean, soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I think they said second quarter 2016.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It's really cool. I am just in awe of what they can do.
I can't even imagine the horsepower it's going to take to make the workflow for that. I mean, just 4K video is no slouch in what you need to process it and work with it from an editing standpoint. I can't imagine fully infinitely focusable 360 degree video.
Yeah, it's going to be a new world.
I would imagine that the actual camera isn't going to be very expensive. It's going to be the software and all of the hardware behind it that you have to have.
The camera's going to be around $300,000.
Oh, that's just for the camera. It's going to be that much.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I figured it was going to be like all in with all of the horsepower you needed for that.
No.
Yeah. So really, you're probably looking at closer to $500,000 to $750,000 to really do anything with this thing.
But again, if you're talking about something that anyone can use, I mean, that's
look, James Cameron needs this stat.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We need Avatar 2 360.
So I thought that was really cool, and I cannot wait to see the fruits of that labor.
Absolutely. That's really cool. I don't know if I have any other camera stuff on here. It seems like we've been talking a lot of camera stuff. But just today, when we are recording this on Monday, November the 9th, Tag Heuer just announced their $1,400 smartwatch. And I believe next week, Tag Heuer is going to be announcing their going out of business sale because it's kind of underwhelming. Did you read anything about this watch, Jeff?
I read absolutely nothing.
Okay. So
educate me on.
I will, and it is very pretty.
I did see pictures, and the pictures are beautiful.
Yeah, it is pretty, but I really am struggling to understand how it fits into the smartwatch ecosystem. So Tag Heuer's new smartwatch is called Connected, which is kind of a terrible name because it's not like the Tag Heuer Connect. It's just Connected. And it is an Android Wear watch. It sports an Intel processor, which I guess is novel because it is the first Android Wear watch which sports an Intel system on a chip. They say it gets quote, about a day of battery, and it has a sapphire covered touchscreen. The case is made out of titanium, and reports are from people who have handled it is incredibly light, much lighter than its look would suggest. It comes with a rubber strap. It's available in 7 colors, black, red, orange, white, blue, green, and yellow, which are all very sporty looking. I mean, if you're into that kind of Tag Heuer sports watch look,
yeah.
they look nice.
Thing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a 46-inch, or 46 inch. It's Flavor Flav style clock.
What the hell?
It's a 46 millimeter round face, and there's no flat tire at the bottom of the display like on the Moto 360. It's standard Android Wear, but it comes with some special Tag Heuer watch faces, as well as apps that are custom from Tag Heuer for restaurant recommendations and golf tracking.
Okay.
So cliche much. I'm going to play golf and I need a restaurant recommendation for my $1,400 smartwatch. And as an extra enticement, owners will, quote, soon get access to watch faces designed in part by Tom Brady and Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know if that's a selling feature or not.
McDoucherson?
I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah,
if you
does not appeal to me at all, but okay.
So if you get into the hard tech specs, the watch itself weighs 1.8 ounces, 52 grams. I don't know how that stacks up to the Apple Watch, but that's pretty dang light. The screen is 1.5 inches. It's a round. It's 360 by 360 resolution, so 240 pixels per inch.
Okay.
It says it has a 410 milliamp hour battery, 4 gigabytes of internal storage. It has a gyroscope, a tilt detection sensor, a microphone, and a haptic engine. Sports Bluetooth 4. It is running Intel's 1.6 gigahertz dual core processor with a 500 megahertz normal operating speed, has a gigabyte of RAM, Wi-Fi, 2.4 gigahertz, 802.11b and in, and running Android Wear. Tag Heuer also says it will come equipped with a directional wind and weather monitoring capabilities, but they did not elaborate on that.
Right.
The icing on the cake, question mark, in 2 years, you can elect to trade it in, give them another $1,500, and get a traditional Tag Heuer Carrera. Which isn't necessarily a bad deal because most of the Carreras retail for over $3,000.
Yeah.
So in theory, after 2 years, this watch will be worthless because the tech will be obsolete. For an extra 1,500 bones, you can get yourself a real live mechanical watch that will last for a generation.
That actually doesn't seem like a bad
That
idea.
is probably the best part of it.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was really odd, there is no heart rate sensor, which is kind of just standard at this point, and no wireless charging. You actually have to hook it up to, it's got little pogo pins on the back.
Okay.
They originally said it would have a 40-hour battery life, but they walked that back to saying, quote, about a day. And I guess some of the press that were there were hearing 24 to 25 hours.
Okay.
I don't know if the Tag Heuer name is going to be enough to sell the Connected. I mean, their closest Android Wear competition is about $299, and those are some nice watches.
But I don't think people that are going to buy this are going to be buying other Android Wear watches.
Well,
I mean, this is a play at a premium brand saying, here's an alternative to the Apple Watch. I mean, I'm sorry, that's what this is. That's what this is.
But looking at it, there's nothing that is really, to me, super compelling about it. I mean, if I wanted the Tag Heuer look, I would potentially just buy an actual, mechanical watch.
Yeah, you say that, but there are some nice things about having a connected watch.
There are.
If you're going to throw down, I mean, $1,500 is a lot of money. I'm not going to buy it, but it's not that much more than the stainless steel Apple. What's it, like $500 more?
Actually, I think some of the combinations, if you get like the stainless steel with the link band, you're real close to that price range. I mean, it is definitely going after, the mid-range Apple pricing.
Right.
It's just as interesting that there is no other option that is at least Tag Heuer branded, and all of the other Android Wear stuff is $199 to $299.
Sure, but it is titanium. That's different.
But
right?
the health stuff is gone. No heart rate tracking.
That's kind of weird. But it does have Wi-Fi and it has a microphone, which is interesting.
Well, so does almost every other Android Wear watch. And the Apple Watch, they all have Wi-Fi and a microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you can talk to them, and I mean, they all do the "Hey Google" and whatnot. I don't know. I can't figure out who it's for. But I also have to go on the record and say, I've been wearing my Apple Watch for 5 months now, and there are times that I kind of miss just having a bang around mechanical watch. I liked that I had multiple watches and it was no big deal to change what I was wearing from day to day. And I feel like I'm missing out on. I do really like the notifications, and I do like the move tracking and the health tracking and all of that stuff. So I'm loath to not wear my Apple Watch, but it's a pain in the butt to take it off every night and charge it. And I just got my first scratches on the screen the other day, and it's kind of like
that's definitely a bummer, right?
Yeah.
So I tell you what has changed it for me, because I love my Apple Watch. Mac ID, which I've used forever.
Sure.
Has now a Watch OS 2.0.
So it's a native app on the watch.
So it's a native app. It takes no time whatsoever to open up. And more importantly, they have a complication now.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh my gosh, dude. It is a life changer. Love it.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is.
You work all day long on a Mac, and I don't. So yeah. I don't need that feature. If my daily driver was a Mac at work, I would be that, be there in a heartbeat. I don't know. I really like my Apple Watch. Don't get me wrong. I think it is amazing, and I really like the notifications. But I do have to seriously question, will I upgrade it in another year? And I think the answer is I don't think I will.
I don't think I'll be upgrading it every model, probably every other model, because I really like it for what it's doing for me now. I do love it. I think I enjoy it very much. I am a little disappointed in the number of scratches that I have on it. And I, depending on, pricing and what you could get for a used one, some of that will depend on when I might upgrade.
Yeah.
But, I really enjoy it, and I think it's an extremely useful.
I do too. And here's the thing, Apple, I know you're listening. Tim, you probably tune in every week religiously. Make a watch face builder out there and release it, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want more choices than the 8 that you give me. I think that would at least keep my attention span a little bit longer. Right. Because I will say Apple Pay on the Apple Watch is magical.
Yeah, I love it.
So, I mean, that stuff I will miss, but I do miss sometimes just putting on a stainless steel diver and not worrying about it and banging it around. I'm still terrified to take it in the swimming pool, stuff like that. And I don't want to be terrified with my watch. No, not for $400.
Yeah, I get it.
So jumping on, I think we've got one more. I know you say you have a long what you love, Jeff, so I'll do a quick one. Australian mobile carrier Telstra just announced that they have demonstrated not 100 megabit, but 1,000 megabit over 4G.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. When can you have this? The answer is
please.
You can't. Maybe by 2020.
Okay.
So using LTE Advanced and I guess proprietary carrier aggregation technology, they accomplished this by binding together 100 megahertz of spectrum across 5 frequency blocks. They glued together a signal across the 700 megahertz band, the 1800 megahertz band, the 2100 megahertz bands, and 2 channels within the 2600 megahertz band. But they were able to pump a gigabit per second over a 4G LTE connection.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, apparently the 4G spec, the fastest consumer spec today is called Category 11, and it is today capable of a maximum theoretical speed of around 600 megabits per second. However, you can't really get that yet. And those are not on mobile devices. You're not going to get hundreds of megabits a second on your, Android or your iPhone. But they are on dedicated wireless routers. The device that they were able to hit a gigabit with is the TM500 made by Cobham Wireless. They are working, I guess, in Australia, down under, to build out their 5G network by 2020, which will be capable of hitting hundreds and hundreds of megabits a second, and are saying that it will be a viable replacement to wired connections, which, if you think about in Australia, that makes a lot of sense because you've got your heavily populated areas, and then you got a whole lot of outback. And I'm not talking blooming onions. I'm not talking actual walkabout outback.
Yes.
So I don't know if that'll catch on here, but I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, it could easily catch on here too because, you get west of the Mississippi
And there's a lot of nothing.
There's a lot of wide open space out there too, Chief.
Yeah, but again, the hard part is, transmission distances and all that fun stuff. I mean, if you're in the middle of BFE, you've got to put towers up all over the place, or you're not going to get
service.
You
just fly a drone.
Or you fly your never-ending drone.
Yeah.
I demand that they all be called Falcor.
Hey, I want to throw another quick one in.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of wanted to throw a couple of thoughts that I had. I like to prognosticate sometimes, and I'm going to do that here. I don't know if you saw I loved my my little title teaser, Chrome plus Android sitting in a tree.
I had heard that they're going to be rolling them together, but I don't know anything about it other than that.
Okay, so they basically came out and said that in the coming years, I think it's 2017.
So that's pretty darn soon.
It's soon, but not like tomorrow. So, in the next couple of years, they are going to be merging Chrome, which, if you don't know,
Chrome OS, right?
Chrome OS. Chrome OS and Android will be merging together.
Okay.
Instead of keeping a Chrome OS separate and Android OS separate, there will be one OS. Reports are that they're going to call it Google OS.
Interesting.
Can you imagine that, right? And that it's going to basically take the best of both worlds and put them together and create this new operating system. Now, there's a lot of questions that this brings up. I mean, what does that mean for Chromebooks? What does that mean for Android devices? Does that mean you're going to have, a Chromebook that can run Android apps, or, what exactly does that mean? And there's really not a lot of details out there. They're definitely not saying that, we'll call it Google OS. They haven't really named it yet, but that's what we'll call it. They haven't really said that Google OS will be a one size fits all. It may be that Google OS is, has limitations put on it if you're putting it on a notebook type device.
Mm-hmm.
It may mean, they haven't really talked about that. It may just be an underlining kernel that's the same. So we really don't know. Both Chrome OS and Android are built on Linux kernels. So the idea of merging those kernels together, and there's probably some good efficiencies that they could gain there, but no one really knows for sure what this means. But I have this theory, and I want to predict. I was going to say I can't even say
prognosticate.
That's the word I'm looking for. I was going to prognosticate on this. And I think that I heard another rumor talking about Google is looking at designing its own chipset.
Okay, so they're doing a full-on Apple here.
So my prediction is that Google OS will be written specifically for a chipset that is designed by Google, and that this is going to be Google's play into unforking of Android devices. That Android will still be out there. It'll still be open source. They won't really deal with it much anymore. They'll probably just let it sit there, right? But that they will come out with this new Google OS, and that part of the terms of agreement will be that you use one of the Google designed chipsets along with the operating system. And the reason I think that this is going to happen is that there are significant benefits to owning both the chipset design and the software design. That's one of the reasons that iOS is more efficient, a better battery usage than Android devices, is because they can write specific operating system level code directly to work exactly with the hardware that they design. And I think that Google wants that. And so that's my big prediction, that I think that you will see a chipset design. Now, I'm not saying that Google will make chips. What I'm saying is that I think Google will say, okay, if you want a Google OS phone, here is a chipset design. And Samsung, this is what you have to make.
So, that's a very interesting thought. And, with Apple controlling the stack, they and being the hardware manufacturer as well as the software writer, obviously they have a huge amount of control that they can exert over what their code is capable of doing. Do you think that Android could, or Google could still get back into a situation where the various carriers have to find a way to differentiate? It's not enough to say that this is a, quote, Google OS device, but it has to be the Samsung Galaxy Google or the HTC whatever, and they'll still find a way to just muck it up.
I don't know, because I think what you will see, I mean, like Samsung may make a Tizen phone. Samsung may make an Android phone. I think that what Google is going to do is differentiate and say, if you want a Google OS phone, it has to be on this chipset, period.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The average person knows I buy an iPhone or I buy an Android phone. And there's really no finer distinction for the average person. And even if Samsung comes out and says, you know what, we're going Tizen, it's going to look and function effectively identically to the Android phones today.
I don't disagree with you, but if
I think Google has to own the hardware.
If Google is making an OS and a chipset design and that phone comes out and it's similar, obviously it's going to look similar to Android because that's what this new thing is going to be. But if it all of a sudden is getting twice the battery life.
Yeah, but they would be able to get twice the battery life.
But they would be able to get a significantly larger.
A step up.
I just think I think that Google has some ideas on things that they can't do now.
Right.
And they can't, they can't control the OS. They can't get updates out there as quick as they would like. And I think this is going to be their play. I could be totally wrong. I mean, this is just a guess on my part. So
I think it's a good guess. And I think Google would be really smart to own it the way Apple does, where, updates come out at Apple's schedule and not the carrier, and you don't get a bunch of carrier crap on your phone.
I don't know that Google's going to make the stuff themselves. I would love to see Google make the stuff themselves, but they're not making stuff themselves now. I mean, the Nexus phones are other people. The new on-hub router, that's other people making it. I don't know that they're going to get into the hardware business.
Yeah, but how many Nexus phones do they sell even? I mean, it's a tiny number, right?
It is, but I'm not sure it's as tiny as it used to be. I mean, I think the new Nexus phones are selling well.
I mean, but define well compared to Galaxy.
Apple, nothing matters. But
true.
But I think definitely compared to Samsung phones that they're making a dent. I think it's a real dent. I do.
I think if Google doesn't make the hardware, they're missing a huge opportunity. And I think what you'll see happen is the smaller Android manufacturers will probably fall in line, and I think Samsung will break ranks and they'll release the Galaxies, but they'll be Tizen and it'll look the same and feel the same, and the average person won't know the difference, and we'll be back to
Samsung
3.
may not be as big of a player 2 years from now as they are now.
Well, that's true.
They're losing market share left and right. And some of the reason they're losing that market share is because people are tired of them screwing around with Android and making it Samsung-orific, and it's crap.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know who's the biggest. I mean, I'm assuming that Xiaomi's got to be up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Samsung's still the biggest, but they're not as the big that they once were. I mean, used to it was Samsung and Apple, and that's just not the case anymore. I mean, I think Xiaomi's made a big play. I mean, LG's market share has grown.
Yeah, I assume it's minuscule compared to Samsung and Apple, but I'd be very interested to. Well, this might be something we have to do some homework on and see if we can find some numbers. I'd be curious. I haven't really followed the manufacturer side of things for a while. I'd like to see. I'd be very curious to see how that shakes out as far as where everybody is. That's interesting.
Yeah. So hey, let's start wrapping it up.
Okay.
I just wanted to real quick thank our Patreons, Dennis, Jamie, Jeffrey, John, Kai, Todd, and Carl. We really appreciate your support. We're going to have some news coming up in the next few weeks on some maybe what some of that money that you guys have been pledging is going to go to. So be on the lookout for that. Now's the time. If you want to jump on the bandwagon and help support us, head on over to patreon.com/knowbettershow. Any support you would give us, we would greatly appreciate. Jacob.
Yes.
What do you love?
Okay, I'm going to do a quick one because I know you said you've got a lot of stuff to love, a lot of love to give.
It'll be interesting to see how long it takes to talk about it, but it is, I think, going to be a little longer than normal.
Okay, so after our last episode, boy, did I have the itch to go build myself a custom DIY racing quad, and I was showing videos to my lovely wife, and before a single word could be uttered from my noise hole, she looked at me so lovingly and she said, "No." And I'm pretty sure that's how it sounded. Like it was channeling her inner demon. No. It was like Tibetan. Yeah. It was like Tibetan throat singing where it just kept going on and I was like, no, whoa. That's exactly what it was. So what I did was I went out and I found myself a quadcopter that she couldn't say no to, mostly because I didn't tell her I was going to buy it. But what
I've always maintained begging for forgiveness better than asking permission.
Absolutely. So I found this little gizmo, and I'm going to hold it up for Jeff, who's going to do a spit take because it is minuscule. It is the Estes Proto X.
No, hold it up, please.
Nanocopter.
No, hold it up. Why aren't you holding anything up? I'm
holding it up. Here
You're
it is.
Not holding anything up.
I'm holding almost nothing in my hands.
Those are toothpicks, right?
It's tiny, right? Like, tell them just how freaking tiny it is.
It is tiny.
Teeny tiny.
It makes that iPhone 6S look like an 6S Plus.
It does.
That's how small it is.
I measured it. It is 2 inches and some change across diagonally. So it's itty bitty bitty.
It is very small.
It is seriously tiny. And here's the thing. It costs $30. It is fast. It is nimble. It is a ton of fun to fly. In fact,
it's a spinning whirl of death.
It is. It is. So if you want a good LARF, go to our website, knowbettershow.com. There is a little mini review that I wrote on there, complete with pictures and whatnot. And you can see it next to various things that you might be familiar with, like quarters and whatnot, to see how small it is. But it is, it's a ton of fun to fly. It is not going to win any awards with the hardcore multi-rotor hobbyist crowd. But to buzz around the house for 5 minutes at a time, you cannot beat it. It is capable of flying way above my skills to fly the thing.
Sure.
But you can also like tone it down and make it so it just kind of pokes around and you're not going to like bang it up too bad. You can get it on Amazon. Like I said, it's about $29.95. I think I even came with free same day shipping. You can find them in your local hobby shops. And there is a bunch of mod stuff out there that you can do. It comes with a teeny tiny little controller. I'm holding that up for Jeff as well. It is itty bitty bitty.
That is pretty tiny.
I guess for about $13 you can buy a much more suitable and capable controller. I have not done that. I figured I was pushing my luck at the $30.
Maybe wait till next month.
That's right, next month. But it is just a blast to fly around. So I highly recommend it. If you're interested at all, check it out. It's the Estes Proto X, $30. You're going to have fun with it, and you probably put your spouse's eye out, which, win-win, right?
Yeah.
But seriously, like, do not fly it near something or somebody with long hair, because it will chew it right up, and you will have to go get your scissors out and cut it out their hair. And that doesn't, you might as well just make up the couch, because you're going to sleep on the couch. That is what I love. So what do you love, Jeff?
So awesome. So I'm just going to preface this, what I love. I just want to put this out there. I am stupid. Let's just get it all out there. I am not a very smart man when it comes to very specific things in my life.
Okay.
And this happens to be one of those things. And Jacob will be like, oh, yeah, okay. So what I love, Jacob, is Apple CarPlay.
Oh my God, you bought a new car, didn't you? Oh no. Did you get rid of your Dieselgate car? Or did you get rid of your Toyota?
I got rid of the Toyota.
Oh my God. Folks, for those of you who don't know, this has got to be like no fooling Jeff, 6th car in 5 years.
No, I've had the Toyota for over 2 years.
You had a Camry, you had the Charger, you had a Mustang, you had a Fiesta or something like that.
Focus,
Focus, and a RAV4.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But not in 5 years. Just to be clear.
Not too darn much longer than that.
10. We've known each other for a lot longer than your
if it's been 10 years, then you've had 26 cars. I'm convinced. And I'm not even counting the cars you bought for your wife.
So anyway, I traded in the Toyota RAV4 and bought a bright, shiny new 2016 Honda Accord.
Okay.
And it has Apple Play.
Oh, nice. I didn't think anything really had it out there.
So it has Apple Play and Google car play thingy.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't hooked up a Google phone to it yet. I do have one in the home, so I will be doing that. But I have hooked up CarPlay. I picked the car up tonight, so I've had like a tops of like 25 minutes of use. So far, really cool. You push the button on the steering wheel, and instead of talking to Honda, you talk to Siri.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It works like a champ.
Does it do screen mirroring?
It's not exact screen mirroring. So here are the caveats. I love it so far. There's still a lot of work to be done. For not so much from Apple, but from other developers, and probably from Apple as far as what APIs they allow people to use. So,
okay.
Of the apps that I use, obviously all the Apple apps are there. So when you plug your phone in, there's a specific USB port that you plug it into, and then you pick that you're using CarPlay, and it comes up on it's a 7-inch touchscreen in the Accord. It has messages, phone, maps, music, podcasts. Those are the ones I'm remembering right off the top of my head that come up that are all Apple related. So if you hit Maps, it connects to your phone. It uses the Maps app on Apple.
Okay.
Same with music. Same with messages. So with Siri on the phone, or on the steering wheel, you can say stuff like when you get a text message, it'll bling, and you can push and hold the button, the little microphone button, and you say, Siri, read me that last text message, and it'll read it to you.
Okay. And
then you can say, Siri, reply to that text message, blah, 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 and it will reply. You can use Siri to do navigation, so this is the whole API thing. Right now, the only Maps app that you can use with CarPlay is Apple Maps.
Okay.
So I normally use Waze. I can't use Waze with CarPlay. I can still use Waze in that I can connect my phone via Bluetooth, and I can still use Waze, but it's not going to display on that screen.
Gotcha.
So when I use the Maps app, it displays on the screen.
Oh, that's kind of slick.
It is smart in that it knows that I was driving home based on what time it was, and it automatically put that in there for me.
Oh, cool.
So I'll probably be switching over to Apple Maps. The other side of that is Overcast already had a CarPlay app.
Oh, cool.
So that was available and works like a champ, and displays just like it looks just like it's Overcast on on my, and then also TuneIn Radio.
Oh, cool. Okay, sure.
So there are some. Those are the only two out of all the apps that I have that show up. So there's still some work to be done. But I will say that the Siri is amazing, works like a champ. I love it. And it is, the potential there is so good because I don't have to worry about Honda updating anything. As soon as
it's all Apple.
It's all Apple and or the apps that are associated with Apple. So if Apple releases an API that will allow Waze to take over the screen, I don't know where that really sits right now. Is it Google that isn't investigating being able to do it, or is it Apple not allowing Google to do it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, because CarPlay's been out for a little over a year now, right?
A year, but this is, the 2016 Honda Accord, the 2016 Honda Civic.
I think does Toyota have some CarPlay stuff? So
Toyota said they were going to, and then they pulled out. Oh. So none of the 2016's Volkswagens have CarPlay. It's starting to roll out, but it's really been slower than I would have liked. But one of the things that I had said is I'm not going to buy a new car unless it has CarPlay and Android Play. And
So did you pick a Honda because it had CarPlay?
Not just because it had CarPlay, and quite honestly,
why did you buy a new car? You bought that Toyota like less than a year and a half ago.
No, it's been 2 years ago. So easy, Chief. Easy.
2 years. Whoa. Wouldn't want to keep your car for 2 years.
I did preface this with I'm stupid. I just do want to point this out. I fully admit I have a problem.
Did you use your tactic of asking for forgiveness as opposed to permission?
No. That's a big negatory. So,
because you did that with the Mustang, didn't you?
Yeah, I did that once.
Okay, I'd like to point out, Jeff bought a high-power Mustang V8 performance car, went out with his boys like on a Saturday, like, oh, we're just going to go look at cars. It's a thing we do. Came home with a freaking like 2-seater sports car.
Yeah. So, no, I did not do that. I did that once.
Everybody gets one.
Yeah, you get one. Never again. So this was a similar type situation in that, when I bought the RAV, I bought it for a very particular specific reason. I had a Ford Focus. It was total crap on snow. And I mean like the worst car I've ever driven in snow ever. Okay. Including my Mustang. My Mustang drove better on the snow than the Ford Focus.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So it was wintertime, and it sucked bad, and my wife was like, we are not keeping this car. This is horrible. And so I got the RAV. And there's nothing wrong with the RAV. It's a fine vehicle. That being said, never was my favorite car. Didn't really care for it. But it's what I had. I was going to go with it. Went out, was looking just, my dad was actually, my dad's an enabler. I will say that. And I do get it honest. But he's been looking, he has a car that comes off lease in May. And so he's been kind of planning out, okay, what do I want to do come May? And I went with him. We took a look at a Hyundai Sonata hybrid.
Okay.
Drove that, took it out, played around with it. It was really nice. If you're looking for a hybrid, take a look at them. They're pretty nice. He wanted to take a look. We drove a Mazda 6.
Okay, sure.
4-cylinder, supposed to be all this sporty. It's nice. The interior of the Mazda, I will say, is very nicely appointed. But wasn't my cup of tea. We wanted to look at a Accord. Now, in 2016, Honda is not making a hybrid yet. They had a 2015 hybrid. 2016, they've said that they're pulling their hybrid manufacturing out of the United States and taking it back to Japan. And it probably won't be until fall of 2016 before any more hybrids are released.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. We were looking at a V6 Honda Accord.
Mm-hmm.
And we happened to go to, there's several Honda dealerships in the city that we live in. And we went to one and they had none, 0. So we were like, oh, well, no big deal. Had lunch, screwing around, started to head back home. And we were like, well, we didn't go to the Honda dealership closer to where we live. We were kind of up some other places. Let's just swing by the one where we live and,
see what they have.
And I will preface this because I have a problem. I had looked before at what the payoff was on my RAV4. And based on what the payoff was, and I had looked on Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book, I was like, I can't do anything right now. Even if I wanted to, I can't do anything because I'm upside down on this RAV4.
What have I got to do to put you in a Honda Accord today?
So I had fully, like $2,000, what Edmund said I could get for my car versus what I owed on my car. I was upside down. I was like, there's no way. So, it was like, no way. But we were just looking. So we'd look and they had two V6s. Now when I say two V6s, I will say two V6s in the trim level that we were interested in looking at.
Are they coupes or sedans?
So they make both. I was looking at a sedan because I do still have, 2 kids at home.
Right.
Plus me and Ann, plus sometimes there's 5 of us, anyway. So they do make a coupe. It's gorgeous. I would, love to have a coupe, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense in my current situation. So I was looking at a sedan. I was looking for, they come in different levels. I was looking for, I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear this.
The highest level?
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Because why not?
So there were two. And in all of Indianapolis, which is where we live, in all the dealerships, there are 5.
Oh, wow.
Five. Okay. Fairly rare car. I mean, it's a 2016.
Yeah, they just came out, like last month, right?
Yeah, I mean, so, and because it's the highest level one, there just aren't a lot of them out there. But the place we went had 2. So I drove it. My dad drove it. It is an amazing car. Amazing car. And, my dad was like, oh, I really like this, but I was kind of thinking hybrid next, and I don't think you guys will even have a hybrid, and yada, yada, yada. The one thing I will say, so like I said, this is taking a long time, and I know it's a what I love, but it's kind of a what I love with, I'm going to give you some car review stuff. The Honda Accord V6 is a beast. I mean, in saying that in Honda Accord in the same sentence seems like really, really odd. At least it does for me. But the Honda Accord V6 is 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's faster than I would have guessed.
Quarter mile, 14.1 seconds. It is fast. I mean, it is really fast. The only cars really that are going to be faster is if you're getting a Hemi Charger or a V8, Chevy full-size car. There's nothing faster, really.
I had no idea. Would have never guessed.
Not as fast. So to give you an example, you have to spend like 45 to 50 grand on a BMW to get one as fast.
Oh, wow. So,
I mean, it's and it handles well. So it's a beast, and I loved it. I mean, it was just it rides amazing. It's quiet. It's quiet if you don't get into it, which you shouldn't, right? But it's there if you need the power. Loved it. Loved the car. After the person we were dealing with, my dad's bought several cars off of her before. Not all Hondas. She used to work at a Buick dealership. Anyway, he had told her up front, I'm looking for in May. She's like, no problem. Go take this car out. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what about you? What'd you think? I said, I love it. She goes, oh, you loved it. I was like, yes,
words a car dealer hates to hear.
Oh, no. And she was like, oh, I'm so glad to hear it. She said, are you in the market? I'm like, look, I said, if I could have this car today, I would love to have this car. I can't. I said, I know what I owe my RAV4. I know what you can probably give me for my RAV4. I know this is a hot car. I mean, there's 5 in Indianapolis.
Right.
I'm like, it's just not going to work. And she's like, well, let's take a look at your car. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to be right. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Okay, you talked me into it. When you said you loved it, did you hear a distinct bang sound?
Well, here's the thing. You say that, but okay, but I'm feeling like I'm $2,000 upside down on my car.
Right.
And again, I looked at kellybluebook.com. I looked at, Edmunds.com. I'm fairly versed in this.
Right.
And what they said I could get. So like, when you go to these websites, they tell you this is what you could get in trade-in. This is what you could get, if you sold it to a third party, and this is what you could get if you buy it from a dealership.
Right.
And so those are kind of like, low price, medium price, high price. And basically like high price. So if you're buying this retail, it's basically buying it for what I owe. So obviously if I'm going to trade it in, I'm going to get that low price. Right.
Right.
And like I said, that was $2,000 different. So they come back and they were like, so here's the price. And they came back with a price that was better than I thought it would. They were like, okay, if you pay full price for the Honda, which I have never done, I've never paid full price for a vehicle, but they said, if you pay full price, we'll give you the 21.
Okay.
For the RAV. So I would break even. And I'm like, oh man, that's a lot better than I thought you would do, but I'm still not there. I can't do that. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't pay full price for cars. Never have. Don't plan on starting now. Thanks. I appreciate it. Like, again, you did better than I thought you would, but not interested. We're a couple $1,000s off. She said a couple $1,000s off. I'm like, yep. She goes, okay, I'll go back and tell him. And they came back and said, $2,000. Okay.
Damn it. All right. Let me get my checkbook.
What? So anyway,
you should have said you're $5,000 off. I
I felt like I was getting a good deal. And I was like, well, look, I wasn't planning on buying a car today. This is going to have to wait, and I'm going to have to talk it over and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it ended up being, I got a good deal, and I'm in a car that I love a lot more than what I had before.
That's cool.
And oh my God, some of the features. So I know I'm rambling on, but these cars are just insane. So it has what's called lane assist.
Mm-hmm.
It knows if I'm going across the lines. So if you start swerving off the road, it steers you back on the road.
Oh, that's cool.
If you start going across the center line, it steers you back in your lane. If you miss that someone stopped up there, it stops the car for you.
Huh.
It does everything.
That's cool.
It is so anyway, great car. What I love is the 2016 Honda Accord V6 Touring Edition. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And yay.
That's awesome. We got to get together soon and you can show it off.
Yeah.
Very cool. What color did you get? Periwinkle?
The most boring of all colors.
Black?
No, white. I
white.
like white cars. It's white pearl.
That is boring. You should have gotten Pull Me Over Red.
So here's an interesting thing about when you get the Honda Accord Touring. Apparently Honda has decided that BMW has it right. You have 5 color choices if you get the Honda Accord Touring Edition. You can pick white. You can pick black. You can pick light gray. You can pick dark gray. Or you can pick brown.
Really? That's interesting.
And, you know what? I take that back. 6 colors. Maroon.
Yeah. Is it that 80s Honda maroon?
Yes. It's not a good maroon.
No, it's not. No.
And here's the other thing on top of it. Honda does this weird thing where once you pick your car color, that dictates what your interior color is. So it's not like you can't get black and say, I want tan inside or I want gray inside. If you get black, it's going to be black inside. If you get gray, it's going to be gray inside. If you get brown, it's going to be black inside, which I think is
an odd combination.
Okay. White was tan inside. I wanted tan inside. And I actually like it's a white pearl-escent.
Yeah.
And I like that color. So
cool.
I was happy with that. So anyway, yeah. I know I'm spoiled and I know I'm stupid and you don't have to call in and tell me that, but if it makes you feel better to do that.
Please call in and tell Jeff.
But it is a really nice car. This is why I do things, and people pay me money so that I can have nice things. And, this is indeed a nice thing. It is a beautiful vehicle that I love very much.
Well, that's very cool. Awesome.
And you know me, I'm a car guy. So
yeah,
what can you do, right?
Yeah, you definitely are. Man, I don't even like the thought of going and buying another car.
So that's what I love. And thanks for listening.
And take us home.
Now you should know not to buy a car like I did. Anyway, we really appreciate everybody listening. Please feel free to give a call in and tell me that I'm stupid, even though I've already fully admitted that. You can call it 317-643-1212. You can always tweet. You can Facebook us. If you don't know where to Facebook us or tweet us by now, okay, I'll tell you fine. Facebook.com/KnowBetterShow, or you can tweet at KnowBetterShow, at Not the Real Jacob to get a hold of Jacob, at Jeff_Chaney, CHANEY. If you want to tell me how stupid I am on Twitter, that's always be appreciated. I'm sure my wife would totally 1000% agree with your opinion of my intelligence level. And just because I don't know better than average doesn't mean that you can't. So thanks for listening, everybody. And now that we have given you another episode, you should now know better than average too. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Have a great week, everybody.